Hello, hello. My name is Sharp Eyes,
And I am
and
Crucifix,
this is WeCast.
where we cast and you play. You should have just
Actually,
rolled with it.
actually, it's where they play first, but yeah, it's where you play
This is
and
where
we
you play.
cast.
Cast. Or we can play with you, if you're down for that. But like a lot of people don't like to play with us because we're so gosu
To Gosu for
for you.
you.
Yeah,
Just kidding, we're actually not that good.
we're not that good at all. But yes, we cast and you play.
Absolutely. Tonight we're gonna be casting a game by two very powerful players.
Very powerful. So powerful that his name is Bonk. That's how powerful he is. In
That's actually
the upper left-hand corner, actually.
that's
Red
actually
shirt.
so powerful.
It is like in the B is capital. That's how powerful it is. He's a capital. It's a capital B. IDS Bonk. Upper left-hand corner. Red Zerg. Ids Bonk.
Well, our viewers can't actually see the map yet. Sorry.
Damn it,
Um,
dude. We have to start over. We can't. This is the worst cast we've ever done in our entire lives. We have to start over one more time.
We're not starting
We
over.
have to start. We cannot put this on our channel. Okay, we're moving on. Who's in the bottom right-hand corner? Show them the map.
Okay. All right. So the camera has changed to the actual game.
Outstanding. Top left corner. It's Bonk.
Top left corner is Bonk indeed.
Game resumed.
Sweet. Who else is playing Share Bias?
Looks like EternityYosh down in the bottom right here as the blue Protoss.
Ooh, Protoss.
Now I'm actually noticing a very recurring theme here. Almost every game is red versus blue. Is it my settings or is it actually red
It is
versus blue?
actually strange because, well, I personally always pick blue. That's the color I always want to be. And it's actually, like, I wonder, like, I always want to be blue. So does the computer only match me against other people who don't want to be blue?
That makes no sense since you can't choose your color in ranked games.
But I do, like, I'm always blue, like, all the time.
Maybe it's because you must be feeling under the weather.
That's what it is. It must be. But maybe I'm only remembering the games in which I'm blue because it's the best color. It's probably what's happening. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but Idsbonk said GLHF, good luck, have fun, giant D smiley face. And our Protoss player over here did not say it back. So we're already seeing a little bit of animosity, a little bit of a hatred, if you will, towards the Zerg player. And really, I think that's the attitude you want to have when you're at war. I mean, these are robots. This is a technically advanced race. They don't take no for an answer. They want it their way, and they're not going to be wishing the enemy good luck because they want to win. And I feel like that's his way of showing him that by not saying GLHF.
Or it could be that he's completely new to the game and doesn't really know what :D or GLHF means.
That's true. He could be like, why is he using such weird punctuation? But I think, either way, really, either way, really. And we do have some probe harass going on. It's looking like the hatch was delayed for at least a second, but now it is put down. He is going hatch first after pool. Hatch first after pool. Not many people say it that way, but I do. So that's that's just one of my mini isms.
In ZvP, actually, going hatch first means that you're asking to get cannon rushed. So
Really?
usually Zerg will open up pool first.
Oh, I see. That makes sense. And it's looking like the Protoss player did decide to go. Whoa!
Looking
Did
like
you
a
see
proxy
this?
hatch.
Proxy hatch in the upper hand corner of the Protoss base.
What is
Very
going on
cool.
here?
And if let's look at the vision of the Protoss player. He does not see it. He does not see it. So this is going to be a very interesting game coming from the Zerg player. This could turn out to be very exciting. So the Zerg player does have an expansion down. He has everything that looks like a normal Zerg base, except for the fact that he only has 10 pros mining at his natural main. And so if the Protoss player would have noticed that, I think he could have maybe gotten a hint that something was fishy, but I don't think he counted the probes. And he's going to, he may pay the price depending on how much damage this hatch can do.
Absolutely, and it does look like 2 Zerglings will be coming out here to scout the front. Looking like the Zergling will check out the 2 gateways and the Cybernetics core. So, yeah, it looks like the Zerg player is feeling pretty confident that his proxy hatch will be able to do some major damage.
Mm-hmm. He knows about the expansion. He knows about the gateways. He knows that the Protoss players are playing a very regular game right now, and the Zerg player is about to. He already has a roach over there. Oh, and the Protoss player just found out what's happening. The Protoss is pulling all his drones right now. The Queen's about to come out. These roaches have to get. The roaches are getting in a really good position right here. Already killed 1 probe. Let's see how much damage this can do. The creep is already starting to spread, and it's looking like he did just put another creep tumor. And really, not only is this such a crazy build because of the fact that you have a hatchery in the opponent's base, but also if you can get the creep, far enough, wow, and it looks like all the probes are pulled. If you can get the creep far enough, they can't even build buildings. But yeah, it looks like all the probes are pulled, and he really needs to get these roaches to a better spot here. I think he's going to lose both of them. He does burrow. I think that just finished the research for that, so he's going to be able to. But it's looking like this queen, that roach also does burrow. I don't know if this queen's going to go down or not. Lots of probes being killed here. The stalker's slowly but surely taking the health down, but more roaches popping out of their burrow sacks to kill more of these probes. This is just a. If this isn't an all-in, what isn't? But honestly, it is an all-in, but at the same time, the Zerg player does have an expansion behind this, so I guess, technically, depending on how much damage this could do, even if it doesn't win him the game, he could still be in an okay position to move on from here. What do you think is going to happen here, Sharpeye?
Well, as of right now, this proxy hatch here has eliminated the Protoss's mining capability for a good few minutes. So yeah, I do think that this isn't an all-in because it has dealt significant amounts of damage to the Protoss economy.
It has. I will agree that it has done a lot of damage. He's killed a lot of probes. If we look at the units lost tab, Protoss player has lost. Well, honestly, the Protoss player's only lost 100 more minerals worth of units than the Zerg player, but a lot of those were probe kills, so that's different. But the hatchery is going to go down here. The Protoss player has done a good job keeping himself composed, and he will end up killing this hatchery, and he'll end up killing all the probes that are in his base. So the game is definitely not over by any means, that's for sure. And the fact that he had an expansion up and running before this hatch ever got going means that even when he pulled his probes off his main, he still had mining going on at his natural expansion, while the Zerg player didn't have mining at the natural until well after the hatch was already going. There were no probes at the natural for a good long time, and so I think, honestly, the two players are in a very even position right now. If you look at the supply count, the Protoss is actually ahead in supply, and the income, the Zerg is ahead significantly. So we have the Zerg with an economic advantage, and we have the Protoss. He is behind, but he's not as behind as you would expect someone who just killed a hatchery in their own base to be.
Absolutely. Looking at the units tab, we do see that the Protoss is on 47 drones to Protost's 31. So
Okay.
a very big economic lead by the Zerg player.
Indeed. And if the Zerg can use this economic advantage of his, which it looks like he is, keeping his minerals nice and low, his gas seems to be a little high, but he could just be making a bank so that when so that he can use that later. He is getting a macro hatch in his main and spine crawlers to defend his natural. So it's looking like what could have been an all-in really just turned out to be like the earliest possible harass and put him in a good position to where he now has a good economic advantage to go further in this game. And I think we'll even see a macro-oriented game from here on out from both players.
Absolutely.
And we do see, not only do we see some units moving out onto the map towards the Zerg base, but we also see a very early third Nexus. Not even early, really. It was about an 11-minute Nexus from the Protoss player. But what was interesting about this is going to finish before the Zerg player even takes a third. So it's not usual to see a Zerg player a base behind, or even a base even bases there. As a Zerg player, you usually want to be a base ahead. So the economic advantage that the Zerg has had thus far is going to slip away if he doesn't do something. And it looks like we're about to have an engagement.
Looking like Lings will be coming in here, getting mowed down by these stalkers. And it looks like 12 mutalisks are in production. Things actually do not look very good for the Protoss player right now, as mutalisks are very good versus small amounts of units.
They are, and it's looking like the mutalisks are heading straight down to the left-hand corner of the space. They're already rallied to go here, and then straight to the third base of the Protoss player. There are 4 more gateways being built at the third base, but I think the Zerg player could do significant damage here.
Looking like these mutalisks will be taking out some probes here, going to the units lost in count. We do see approximately 10 workers have been killed.
Yep, almost all of the workers at the third went down. Meanwhile, there's some Phoenixes trying to take down these Mutalisks, and Phoenixes are good against Mutalisks. But in these numbers, I'm not sure if he even needs to be running away right now. I guess maybe if the micro is good from the Protoss player, it would be something to be scared of. But there are just so many more Mutalisks than Phoenix right now. Wow, the micro is pretty good from the Protoss player, and he is able to. And it looks like we're having a big Ling run by here. Not even a run by, a full Ling assault to take down this Nexus. And it most likely will go down. I don't think he has enough Zealots here. He is bringing his whole army to try to save this third base, but I do not think it's going to be enough. This Nexus will go down, but at the cost of probably all these units, but it doesn't really matter because the fact that he killed that Nexus while somewhat simultaneously taking 2 expansions of his own is a really big deal, because he's going to be able to reestablish that giant economic lead that he had at the beginning of the game.
Definitely. I mean, he saw that he was behind, so
right.
he got the third and then is expanding behind that. So very good play by the Zerg.
It is, and he's not even expanding once. He feels very confident right now in the fact that he's gonna put the Protoss on the back foot. And when you have an opponent on the back foot enough to where they feel like they have to turtle, that's when you can really do whatever you want for a little bit of time. And he's banking on that. He's banking on the fact that he's going to have enough time to establish both of these bases and get enough units to defend them before the Protoss moves out again. And we'll see if it works out for him. Meanwhile, these Phoenixes are going to move across the map, or they're at least going to move forward a little bit to do some potential harvester harass.
Looking like these Phoenix will be passing by these Lings, and will Gravitron beam one of them.
Yeah,
2 of them, actually.
Oh, I see. Well, one less Ling is better than no less Lings, I guess. But,
and it looks like Lings will be penetrating the Protoss base here.
Yep.
Hopefully
going
gonna
straight into the main.
Get a few workers before they get killed.
Meanwhile, the Mutalisks are simultaneously trying to deny this third base once again. There is one Phoenix coming over here to try. Oh, and all the rest come back. So it's looking like the Mutalisks aren't going to, and he is actually going to lose a lot of these mutes, all of them. He'll lose all of them, and that was actually really good defense by the Protoss player there in his third base. But the worker count. Oh, it's looking like he pulled most of his workers off his main. So, you know, that was a really good defense from the Protoss player, but I don't feel as if I feel like the Protoss player has just been losing worker after worker after worker. But what's interesting is if you look at the actual resources lost tab, the Zerg player has lost almost double, 8,500 to 4,600 minerals. But again, that's not too big of a deal when you're 2 bases ahead of your opponent. But now that the Protoss player was able, oh, and it does look like we are having some Phoenixes in here to kill some drones of his own. But he does have a spine crawler, or a spore crawler rather, to defend at least his natural. And I'm surprised he's not going straight into this 4th base here, where there is a spore crawler, but he could at least do some serious damage. I guess he's just going to keep those there, or at least enough to... Oh, and it's looking like he's going to kill at least a few overlords to try to supply block. He doesn't seem to know what he wants to do with his Phoenixes.
It actually looks like a Hydralisk then is in production here for the Zerg player. Looking like he's tired of those Phoenix harassing him.
And he knows that he can't just build mutas to battle these Phoenixes, because Phoenixes are not only faster, but they're more agile than mutas. And he's already lost you know, a significant muta force to them thus far. So he's building these Hydralisks as an addition to his force, so that he doesn't have to worry about that Phoenix harassment any longer.
And over here we do see the Phoenix harassing even more units here, and possibly destroying this queen.
Yep. As a Zerg player, have you ever experienced? Have you ever been in a situation where, oh, and he's going to lose almost every single one of his Phoenixes to those spore crawlers while trying to kill that queen? I feel like that was an overextension by the Protoss, and he probably should have pulled out a little sooner than that. But have you, as a Zerg player, have you ever been in a situation where a Protoss player will come and kill all your queens before you have the proper defenses up against anti-air?
That actually happened to me almost every game in the Platinum League.
Oh, I see. Well, that sounds very frustrating.
Extremely frustrating. I mean, there's nothing quite as demoralizing as losing all of your queens and having to rebuild them, and then once all your queens have been rebuilt, them getting destroyed once again.
Losing them again, yeah. That sounds almost as frustrating as building up a max Terran army and them getting decimated by 5 Balings.
5 Balings indeed.
5 Balings indeed. But it's looking like we do have some Colossi on the field. Colossi, a little bit of Stalker, a little bit of Mortal action. Really getting ready for that Roach play. The Immortals for the Roaches. He's got some Stalkers for the Mutas and some Phoenixes for the Mutas. Some Colossi to just, you know, be your catch-all. And what do you think of the army compositions? Hydra, Roach, Phoenix versus Colossi, Stalker, Immortal. What do you think is the stronger composition?
I didn't know that Zerg had Phoenixes, but
No, I said that oh my gosh. Okay, you're right. What are these? Vipers. Vipers, there you go.
I think that both army compositions are very good, but as of right now, the Zerg composition is actually quite a bit better than the Protoss. If those Vipers can get those pulls, and the pulls will be made.
The pulls are made. He does get one immediately. Yeah, well, the 2 do remain, and it is going to be enough to push this Zerg force back. But the Zerg... Oh, and wow, this is a very bold move-in by the Zerg player. Is it going to be enough? It's looking like no. I really felt like the Zerg player overextended himself by pushing in there. The Protoss player had a pretty big army compared to what the Zerg was left with, and he ended up losing the majority of what he had. But the Zerg player is probably going to be able to max up here pretty soon, as he is on 4 mining bases. And it's looking like, but it is looking like, for at least the time being, the Protoss player is going to move all the way across the map while he has some sort of advantage. Here comes a big Roach push at the top of this ramp. The splitting is pretty good from the Protoss player. Wow, the Zerg player just let this Protoss climb right up his ramp, and the force fields are pretty good. The pulls of both of those Colossi, they are now down. Wow, look at all these force fields. Oh my gosh, this is so close. And it is looking like the Roaches are going to back up, back into the base. Now they've decided to come back for another push in. Another Colossi is on the field. And it's looking like this Protoss force is going to be definitely going to be enough to take out the Zerg army. The reinforcements are streaming in though from the natural expansion, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough to push this Protoss player back. But he is looking like he's going to aim towards. Wow, this is just so many units.
What a brilliant placement of the time warp right there, as those links couldn't get any kind of surround going on.
Right, and they're already trying to run off creep until they get on there, and the time warp was just perfect to not allow them to overrun, and all these drones are going to go down along with this fourth base. I'm not gonna. Oh, and there it is. GG. So, wow, that was a very aggressive. That was a very well-timed push from the Protoss player, knowing that he just won that big battle, especially after the Zerg player came back for a second push. The second push wasn't nearly big enough, lost most of his Hydras, and the Protoss player knew that he needed to push right then so that he could maintain that that advantage that he had just created for himself.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to the quote-unquote post-game analysis slideshow here.
Post-game analysis.
Crucifix, in 1 minute or less, what could the Zerg be doing a little bit better in this game?
1 minute or less. I felt like the Zerg. Well, I felt like he was too confident. I mean, he came into the game with like one of the most aggressive builds you could ever do. You know, I mean, he built a hatch in his opponent's base, and that can work out very well, and he did do a lot of damage. But I felt like he did not capitalize on that advantage as much as he could have, and he took too much damage without dealing out enough. I mean, that's a big investment to put an entire hatch in your opponent's base, and if you don't do enough damage with it and you don't capitalize on the advantage you create for yourself, you're just setting yourself up to be in a position where you're not going to be successful for the rest of the game. What do you think? What are your opinions on what the Protoss could have done better, and or the Zerg?
I think that the Zerg could have, he could have tried to put a little bit more pressure there after that macro hatch messed up the Protoss's economy.
He was doing a pretty good job applying pressure at first, getting those mutas out, doing some Ling harass. He did kill a ton of probes, at least initially. But then he started taking fights that he wasn't able to, and I felt like that was a big factor in his downfall.
Absolutely. Crucifix, what did you think of the Protoss's play? What aspects could he have done better?
The Protoss, of course, you always want to have a vision of your own base. So I felt like it took him a little bit longer than it should have to realize what was going on within his own base. And also I felt like he kind of. It took him a long time to get a force on the field that could deal with anything that the Zerg had. He had a lot of Phoenixes to deal with those mutas, but for a long time, those Phoenixes and a few sparse Stalkers were, the majority of his army. And while Phoenixes are very good, I felt like he wouldn't have taken so much damage, and maybe that third wouldn't have gone down if he had, a little bit more meaty of a force.
Right. So, more meat.
More meat. That is the moral of the story.
All right. Well, that concludes episode something.
Who knows? Something.
My name is Sharp Eyes.
And I'm Crucifix.
And until next time, keep on
playing.